Okay. So we are discussing about the tariff and all. So today we are going to discuss the optimum tariff. Huh? So you know that if tariff is imposed for the domestic country, the price of the commodity has increased. Okay. And in the international market, if you are a large country, then in the international market, you can reduce the price of the commodity which you are importing. So if you are a large country, by imposing tariff, you can improve your terms of trade. Okay. Because the price of the importable in the international market is falling, right? So price of exportable by price of importable, that is the terms of trade, so it will improve. Huh? So definitely it is very good for the nation. And what is the negative effect? Negative effect is that you are reducing the volume of trade, that we have already discussed now, that if you are a small country, if you are a large country, for both the cases your volume of export and import that will fall. So this is the negative. Now, optimum tariff is what? Optimum tariff means that positive and negative, the two things are working simultaneously. Okay. So optimum tariff will make the maximum achievement given that negative effect. Hmm. So it can achieve the highest trade indifference curve. You can understand that if it will give you the maximum benefit from this positive and negative interaction, so you can go to the highest level of trade indifference curve. Trade indifference curve means it is just like the individual indifference curve or social indifference curve. Here the indifference curve is measuring the export and import of a nation. So along the indifference curve, total export and import are changing so that the total utility of the society is constant. So on the two axes, you are measuring export and import. That is the trade indifference curve. So as I am saying that it will maximize.
Ma'am, excuse me. Ma'am, you have denied uh, Artish to join the meeting twice, and now he can't join the class.
No,
So he has
I didn't
texted.
deny. No. I didn't deny anyone. Maybe some technical problem. Where is Artish? Ask him to join.
Yes, ma'am.
Why should I deny? It may possible that at that time I was writing something in the chat box and he was trying to enter just at that time.
Maybe, ma'am.
That may possible. I'm not rejecting anyone. Where is Artish? Now I am waiting. Everyone is waiting for Artish. Look. Okay, let him join, huh? So look. As I say, the trade indifference curve. So what is trade indifference curve? Trade indifference curve is the combination of the volume of export and import so that the total utility of the nation is constant. So optimum tariff is trying to achieve the highest trade indifference curve given this positive effect of improving terms of trade and the negative effect of the reduction in volume of trade. Okay, so this is the importance of optimum tariff. Now look at this diagram. This is I'm taking this diagram from um, Salvatore. Hmm. So look at this diagram. On the horizontal axis, we are measuring x. That may be a bit confusing because here everything is discussed in terms of foreign country. That means country B. So, but no issue. Yeah, once you can understand it, it will be very easy. Look, this is the offer curve of the home country. 2 is the offer curve of the foreign country, and you know what you are measuring on the horizontal axis. The amount of exportable and importable, and on the vertical axis again the amount of importable of home country and amount of exportable by the foreign country. So that you already know. So before the tariff, E was the equilibrium point. So that line PW is equal to 1, that is the terms of trade line. Okay, that is the terms of trade line. Now this country, that means the country 2, that country is imposing tariff. Okay, fine. So his volume of volume of trade, that will fall, and his new offer curve is 2 star. Okay, if it is imposed, yes, now someone is there. Okay, now look here, what is happening. Country, if country 1 is imposing tariff, as we have discussed earlier, in that case, that offer curve 1, that will be shifted to 1 star, that means somewhere here. Okay? But here it is said that country 2 is imposing tariff. No issue, because I have just taken a copy, I have just taken a snapshot from the Salvatore. That is why I have to explain in terms of that book. So 2 is now shifted to 2 star. Okay, so you can, if you just go through the position of the offer curve of 2 star, you can understand that the volume of trade is reduced. The volume of trade of the country 2 is reduced, and this is the new price line PW star. Okay, this is the new price line. And the terms of trade, actually this is the new terms of trade. So in terms of country 2, the terms of trade has improved. Okay, because country 2's export is here, country 2's import is here. So in terms of country 2, the terms of trade has improved, as we said that it is the positive effect of the tariff. And at the same time, from the diagram, it is very much clear the negative effect, that is the reduction of volume of trade. Now, what is the optimum tariff? Look, at the optimum tariff, this offer curve, that is, sorry, that indifference curve, trade indifference curve, TI, it is tangent to country 1's offer curve. Remember, that in trade indifference curve of country 2, trade indifference curve of country 2, that is why the curve is like this. If the trade indifference curve for country 1, then it will be just mirror image of this IT, as we are explaining in terms of country 2. So here look, this is the TI, that is the trade indifference curve of country 2. It will be tangent to country 1's offer curve at the intersection point of 2 offer curves. You get my point? That means at E star, that means at E star, TI, that is the trade indifference curve of country 2, is tangent to the offer curve of country 1. If it will happen, then that particular tariff is the optimum tariff. Look, you may say that why? If it is not, then what will happen? Look, if more tariff is imposed, then this offer curve will shift further like this, right? This offer curve will shift inward like this. It will be T double star or like this. So it will intersect 1 at here. If you want to draw indifference curve at this point, it will be below this IT, right? It will be below this IT. So you cannot maximize your utility in terms of trade. So that is why this is the indication of the optimum tariff, that the optimum tariff.
Ma'am, can you explain this part again? I missed it.
I'm telling you that at E star, what is E star? E star is the intersection of country 1's offer curve and country 2's new offer curve. Okay. Now at E star, trade indifference curve of country 2 is tangent to country 1's indifference curve. Look, it is tangent to country. It is going through E star. It is going through E star, but it is tangent to country 1's indifference curve. If it is not, so that is why I said at the point of optimum tariff, you can maximize the trade indifference, that you can achieve the maximum trade indifference curve. Now you can check it if it is not. If it is not, for example, say tariff is not imposed to that level, it is a bit less. Okay, so the offer curve will not shift to T star, it will shift somewhere here. The 2 star will be somewhere here, right? It will shift to like this. So you may get your equilibrium here. If say the 50% tariff is imposed, say the tariff is now imposed by 30%. So the 2 star is here, somewhere here, and it will intersect your 1 at E star, and that new E star will be like this. I'm just taking another point. Now, if you want to draw your indifference curve through this point, it will be the lower indifference curve than this TI. Okay, so you cannot maximize your utility in terms of trade at this point. With the same reasoning, if you want to impose tariff more than this given tariff, that means maybe here or here, that means 2 star is shifted further, like there and here. So the new indifference curve will be below this TI. So TI is such an indifference curve which is giving you the maximum uh, trade utility in terms of if given 1. Okay, if 1 will shift, something will happen. But as 1 is given to you, given that 1, given the offer curve of country 1, that is the best option for country 2 in terms of tariff. So he can maximize his trade indifference, trade utility at the point E star. Okay, so the line corresponding to E star will show the terms of trade after tariff. Now is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, ma'am,
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
That was the network issue, huh? I was using BSNL connection and suddenly there is electricity problem and the connection lost, but I couldn't understand. So I was talking. Now, that portion was explained. Is that diagram okay? Actually, I can't understand from where you couldn't listen me. So that is why I am asking. This diagram is okay for all?
Ma'am, first you have to present the screen.
Oh, oh. Now is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now tell me, if you have any problem from this diagram.
Ma'am, I had a question. Ma'am, in the original diagram, where only you explained only the tariff portion of upper curve rotation in the last class. Ma'am, could you explain that once again, ma'am? Because that is the basic. I couldn't understand that.
Oh, that is that elasticity part.
Ma'am, uh, ma'am, the heading was optimum tariff by a large country and the first diagram. That one.
Where? Let me find out. This one. Oh, where is the heading? This is for the small country. Here comes your large country. This is from the Cape Jones. Look here also. In this way, you can also explain. Huh? Here, home country's offer curve has shifted because home country has imposed tariff. The same thing. And here, from in Salvador, it is the foreign country or country two who is importing tariff. So where is your heading?
Ma'am, this one.
This one. Okay. Yes. You are asking about this diagram. Okay.
Yes, madam.
Now look, here actually it's a bit confusing because actually I'm trying to combine all the books available. Huh? So that may create a problem. But anyway, look here. There are two countries. Huh? One is home, another is foreign. Okay. So foreign countries offer curve is given to us as F. Initially, the home country's offer curve was M1 without anything, no intervention. So you have equilibrium point 1. Oh, I have to use my pointer. So your equilibrium is at 1. Done. Now home country has imposed tariff. Okay. Now it is a large country. Home country is a large country. So when home country is imposing tariff, so its demand for import is falling, right? So it is like excess supply in the international market because it's a large country. It has a significant proportion, its significant contribution in the world market. So when it is reducing its demand, so there is a like excess supply in the international market. So in the international market, price of that commodity is falling. So what happened with your terms of trade? What is your terms of trade? Price of exportable by price of importable. So for the large country, that particular country, home country, for the large country, he is watching the price of importable is falling. Okay, so the ratio is increasing. So for the large country, terms of trade is improving. How to show that improved terms of trade? That new price line has shifted from this one to this one. Do you get my point? And as this is the new price line, your offer curve is also shifting because you have reduced your demand for import, and at the same time your export is also falling. So your offer curve is shifting from M1 to M2. Finally, you will get the equilibrium 3 where you are getting the new international terms of trade, which is more than before. So you are in the better of position in terms of trade. Now tell me your problem.
All right, ma'am. It's okay.
It's okay. Okay. Now look here, you may get the confusion here. The tariff is imposed by the home country, but in Salvador the tariff is imposed by the country too. That means F has shifted inward. No issue. You can understand this. You can understand both. So now tell me your problem from this diagram. Do you have any problem? Okay. So this is the formula of optimum tariff. Could you hear when I was explaining this one?
No, ma'am.
Oh, this is the formula. I was saying that this is the derivation is not in our syllabus, fortunately, but that formula we can use. Look, what is the formula? Very simple. It is the optimum tariff rate. It is 1 by E minus 1. Now, what is E? E is the elasticity of the foreign offer curve. Okay. So, if it is inelastic, foreign offer curve is inelastic. So, it will be minus something, anything, 2, 3, 4, 5, anything. So, minus of something. So, minus with a minus 1. That means your denominator will be a minus 1. So, the ratio will be a minus 1. So, your optimum tariff will be a minus 1. That means you should not impose tariff. If foreign offer curve is inelastic, it is better not to impose tariff. Is that okay? So this is actually the Maesler's paradox. So when foreign offer curve is inelastic, that means the offer curve is backward bending, is like this. So in that case, it is better not to impose the tariff. You can understand if it is if you can draw it. Actually, I was trying to draw in my copy, but that diagram was so bad that I cannot show. That is why I have to take the help of the books. If you can draw in your own copy, that if it is backward bending is like this, initially your equilibrium may be here, then after you are imposing tariff and it will be shifted like this, the foreign country, that is country 2, it is your offer curve has shifted like this, and you cannot improve your welfare. You cannot improve your trade indifference curve, as I should say, because you can understand this one and this one. So this is not the way to improve the situation. So it's better not to impose the tariff. Okay. And if it is, that is why for the small country, it is suggested that small countries should not impose tariff. For the large country, it's good because there is a positive effect. Where is the positive effect? The increase in terms of trade. But for the small country, they cannot influence the terms of trade. No? So they have to accept only the negative effect, that is the reduction in volume of trade. So for the small country, it is better not to impose tariff. Okay. Now look, this is the next part. Optimum tariff and retaliation. Look, what you are doing actually. Here, when country 2 has imposed the tariff, he is a large country, obviously, he is a large country. So he has improved his terms of trade. And somehow he can improve his utility as well. So, okay, he is in the better of position. But what about the other country? Country 1? As this is the new equilibrium point, the volume of trade of country 1 is also falling, right? You are demanding less as an import. So the rest of the country's export is falling, okay, because total volume of export should equal to total volume of import in the world, right? So they are not happy. Actually, they are not happy because they have done nothing with their economy. You have done something with your economy. That means you have imposed tariff. And as you are the large country, you can influence the world. You can influence the trade of the world. So that is why they are facing problem. Their volume of trade is also falling. So they are not happy. You get my point? They are not happy. Do you agree with me? Hey, am I audible? Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what happened? Look here, when the country 2 has imposed the tariff, the equilibrium has shifted to E star, right? So this is the amount of this is the amount of import by the foreign country now, and this is the amount of export. So this is the amount of export for country 1. So country 1 was not interested to reduce its export. You have done something with your economy so that your volume of import is falling, and that is affecting me by reducing my export. So I'm not happy with you. So what country 1 can do? If he is also a large country, he can impose the tariff. The next step, he will impose the tariff. And once he will do that, look at the position of country 1. Obviously, he has to impose tariff more than your tariff, more than the tariff of country 2. So country 1's offer curve has shifted to 1 star. And this is country 2's offer curve. And finally, that will be the equilibrium. Look, that E double star, that will be the equilibrium. Look at the volume of trade for both the countries. So here country 1 is reducing country 2's volume of trade. He is reducing his own volume of trade, true. But at the same time, he is also reducing country 2's volume of trade. And again, country 2, if country 2 is again very unhappy with that, he can impose more tariff. And that will be just like a tariff competition, a tariff war. And finally, what will happen? You can understand, everyone will come to 0. So volume of trade will be 0. There will be no trade. Okay. If there is such type of retaliation, ultimately the trade will be 0. Do you get the point? This is step by step. Suddenly it will not possible. But in the long run, over the time, it may possible. Is it okay? Just like the sequential game, na? Any problem with this diagram?
Ma'am, could you repeat that portion where you said the 1 star that the new offer curve will be so low? Why it can't be somewhere in the middle?
Someone in the middle means where? Here.
Little higher, so that export and imports are high.
Oh no, that cannot be. That means you are telling that okay, he will try to improve his. That means country 1 is trying to improve the terms of trade, and he is trying to move its share. How it is possible? Tell me. Because this is his offer curve. So once he is imposing tariff, his offer curve is shifting like this. So equilibrium obviously will be here. You cannot shift your offer curve. Okay, you can improve your offer. You can look, that is actually happening. That is actually happening. What will happen when he has shifted the offer curve 1 to 1 star? That new equilibrium is at E star. So at E star, if you can draw the price line through E star, it is something in favor of country 1. Because terms of trade is improving for country 1. It is steeper. It is steeper than this line, that PW star line. It is steeper than PW star line. So country 1 is improving its terms of trade because he is also a large country. He is also a large country. Huh? So he can improve the terms of trade, and he is improving his terms of trade. But what about the volume of trade? Everyone is fighting with terms of trade. He has reduced the terms of trade, so he is very unhappy. He has imposed the tariff. He is also a large country, so again terms of trade is going in favor of country 1. Then country 2 is unhappy. He has imposed further tariff. Terms of trade is going in favor of country 2, and this process continues. But what about the volume of trade? YOLO. Just a minute. Something is happening here. Any question? Yes, volume of trade is falling. That is what I am saying. Na? Volume of trade is something negative. Volume of trade is something negative which is working in case of the tariff imposition. And when you are continuously, either this or that country continuously imposing tariff, volume of trade is falling and falling and falling. So that negative effect is dominating now. The negative effect of reduction in volume of trade is dominated. And finally, what will happen? What will be the end result? Everyone will go to that origin. That means there will be no trade. So that is not good. Now, if there is no trade, then what is the question of tariff? It will be again the autarky. Okay, so that is why it is saying that, okay, don't go for tariff. Ideally. Now is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is the retaliation. This is also in Salvatore. Now the rate of effective protection. Sometimes the questions are coming. What is rate of effective protection? Effective tariff rate. What is that? The domestic value added. Effective tariff rate is actually the domestic value added, which is the price of the final commodity minus the cost of imported input. Sometimes what the economy is doing, sometimes economies are not imposing because there is some negative effect on tariff and all this. So they are imposing tariff on final product, but they are not imposing tariff on the raw materials. You get my point? So you can purchase raw materials at the international price. There is no restriction. And when you are going to purchase the final product, there is a restriction. There is a tax. Why? Because the economy is trying to protect their domestic producers. Do you get that point? So if this is so, if this is the situation, then what is the domestic value added? Domestic value added is the price of the final commodity minus cost of imported input. Okay. Now here that cost will increase if there is tariff. That cost of imported input, where is the pointer? Pointer ta kothay jay? When you are going to import the input, you have to pay the tariff. So that means cost of imported input will increase. So domestic value added will fall. Okay. And another name of domestic value added is effective tariff rate. Okay. So effective tariff rate is nothing but the domestic value added. And domestic value added is what? It is the price of the final commodity minus the cost of imported input. So once you are imposing tariff, on the input, that cost, that component will increase. So the difference will fall. So the domestic value added will fall. So you can say less effective tariff rate is there. You can say less effective tariff rate is there. Now, what is nominal tariff? Nominal tariff is important for the consumer. Look, if the tariff, say the tariff is 3%. If the that tariff is actually imported on input. That nominal tariff means the 3%, 5% ad valorem, whatever the tax, type of tax, it is imposed. But this is important for the consumer. Why? Because consumer knows that if the tax is higher, if that nominal tariff rate is higher, then cost of imported input will be higher. And if it is higher, then price of my commodity will be higher. So they are concerned about the nominal tariff rate. And effective tariff rate, it is important for the producer. Now, effective tariff rate, as I say, this is the domestic value added. Now, if effective tariff rate is very high, that means the tariff on the input is low. That means the cost of production to them is very low. Effective tariff rate is not so important for the consumer because it is the problem of the producer. They know what will be the price of the final commodity. They know what will be the price for the which we have to pay when we are going to import the inputs and all. So effective tariff is the concern of the producer, whereas nominal tariff, it is the concern of the consumer. Okay. So that
Ma'am,
effective tariff rate is called the effective protection. Yes.
I was cut off on the second point. Could you repeat that point? Nominal tariff rate for the
Oh. I was telling that what is effective tariff rate, I defined it. Now I am telling you the nominal tariff rate. Nominal tariff rate means it is just the tariff rate, which we know actually 3%, 4%, 5% is like this. So this is important for the consumer. Why? Because they know if that tariff rate will increase, then cost of input will increase. Because it is imposed on the inputs. So it will increase the cost of production, and once cost is increasing, it will increase price of the commodity. Consumers are concerned about the price. So the nominal tariff will influence the price. So that is why they are concerned about the nominal tariff rate. An effective tariff is important for the producer, because producer can understand what is the protection they are getting. Because their protection is not concern of the consumer. Protection is needed by the producer, domestic producer. Okay. So if effective tariff rate is very high, that means you can understand this gap is very high, right? Effective tariff rate high means this gap is very high. That means the cost of production is less and they can charge higher price, right? So that means they are getting a sort of protection. If it is not, if the tax is imposed on the final product, then they are not getting this much of protection, because once a person can is ready to pay, he can purchase it from the foreign country. But it is more protection which is given by the government to the producer. In terms of, actually tariff is to protect the producer, tariff is to protect the import competing sector, but this type of tariff is giving more protection to the import competing sector. Why? Because here the tariff is imposed on the final product, tariff is not imposed on the inputs. So they can purchase their inputs at the lower price from the rest of the world. But when the final product is coming, if you want to purchase imported final product, you have to pay the tax. Do you get the point? So this is called the effective protection. Any problem? আমি বুঝতে পারছি না আমি অডিবল কিনা। Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
শুনতে
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Now look, there is another important part. Comparison of import quota and import tariff. We have discussed about import tariff a lot and import quota also. So where is the difference? How can you compare? First of all, quota means, as I said, quota means it is a quantitative restriction. That means you cannot purchase more than that. Now, how to give permission to the individual to purchase whatever the quantity you have said? How to give permission? For that, government sometimes are selling license. Now people can understand that once I have this license, I can purchase the commodity from the rest of the world at the lower price, because everyone knows that the price is lower in the international market, but government is restricting the quantity. So everyone is trying to, and the demand at the international price, that if, okay, let me go to my tariff tag, quota. Yes, look, this is the international price. Okay, so everyone knows that is the international price, and at international price, this is the demand. So this excess demand, that is actually the import if international price is there. So government is not interested to allow this much of import. So they said you can import only this. Okay, you can import only this, but everyone knows this is the price. So there is a demand of this. So this section of demand cannot be captured, cannot be covered through this quota. Okay, quota is only for this amount. So this amount and this amount is not allowed to import. So as there is excess demand given the quota, there is always a competition to get the permission to import. Because you can import at this price. International price is this. You can import at this price, and once you are coming back with that imported commodity, you can sell at the higher price. So everyone is interested to get that license so that they can import. So this is that is why sometimes the government is selling the import quota license. So what will happen? As there is excess demand, so people are lobbying. They are using this way, that way, this thing, that thing, to get the access of those limited license. But in case of import tariff, this thing is not coming. This thing is not coming because it is the tariff. Everyone is allowed to import. If you can give the tariff, if you can give the tax, you are allowed to import. There is a sort of free. There is no such competition in that case. Now, in case of what is the second? This is the first difference. And what is the second one? Effective rate of tariff may be small if exporting countries can reduce their profit level. That may also possible. Look, what I am doing, I am allowing to import the commodity at the international price. I am allowing to import the input at the international price. But I am not allowing to import the final product at the international price. There is a tariff. Okay. So, and this is done by the home country. But foreign countries, they are also not fool. They are also watching that what this country is doing. So what they can do? They can reduce the price. Okay, they can reduce their the price of their own commodity. That means they are reducing. No question. That means they are reducing their profit level. Okay, that means they are reducing it again. Are what are you doing? So effective. What I am saying, that say tariff is imposed by the home country in this way. This is a strategic tariff actually. It is not imposed on the input, it is imposed on the final commodity, so that people are restricted to purchase from the rest of the world. But rest of the world, they are also watching the activity of the home country. So what they can do, if they are very much interested to sell their commodity in this country, they can reduce price of their own commodity. Then, so that ultimately the protection is lesser than expected. So how they can reduce price? They are reducing their profit level. Initially, so the price was like this, that their profit level was 30%. But now they have reduced the price, the profit is 10%. They are happy, but they are more interested to capture this home country's market. So this thing may happen in case of tariff, but this is not possible in case of quota, because quota is not influencing foreign countries' price. Price is same as before. I am also only restricting the quantity. You cannot purchase more than this. Okay, so this is a comparison, and these are all there in the books. Nothing. I am not inventing anything. This is there. Acha, Maslow's paradox, as I said, Maslow's paradox means when the offer curve is inelastic, it's better not to impose the tariff. Okay, so you have imposed the tariff, but your terms of trade has reduced. That will be the case if the offer curve of the foreign country is inelastic. So apparently it's a paradox because I am imposing the tariff, but my terms of trade is falling. But why it is so? Because the elasticity of the offer curve of the foreign country is less than 1. This is called the Maslow's paradox. Okay. So that is all about the terms of trade analysis or the trade policy analysis. If you have any query, you can ask. Otherwise, I will go to the next unit. Acha, I just want to announce as I'm taking the class, I just a minute. Huh? Yes, I just want to announce one thing that as I wrote in your WhatsApp group, that if you are availing any type of scholarship, you are applying for any type of scholarship, sometimes you are saying that I have applied but I am not getting the money. The reason is that you have to inform to the college, because they are asking information from the college, and if college doesn't know that you are applying, they will not give the information, so you will not get the money. So that is why it is said that if you are applying any sort of scholarship, Vivekananda scholarship is there, so, and etc., there are a lot of other scholarships. First of all, with all the documents, you have to go to the college office, and Shumita sir is there, inform him, he will enter your name and all other informations, then only you may get the scholarship. Okay, this is the thing our principal ma'am asked us to inform you, that is why I am telling you. Okay, now tell me your problem from the trade policy. Anything? We have 27 slides. Do you have any
Ma'am,
problem? Yes.
ma'am, if you don't mind, can you just share with us the portion from Salvatore on retaliation, because we don't
No,
have the
I
PDF.
okay, fine. I don't mind because this book is not written by me. But the thing is, I only have this book. But the thing is, okay, for that portion is fine. I will share. I will
Thank you,
upload
ma'am.
it in college LMS. But the total book is not possible. Na? The
No,
copyright
ma'am,
issue may arise.
this
Yes.
does the portion, ma'am, like in
Oh,
PDF format.
yes. I will definitely share in college LMS.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anything else? Okay. So let me go to the monetary portion of trade. Hmm, yes. Here comes the money. Because before that chapter, we never discuss about money, na? I'm giving this, you are giving me that, I'm imposing tariff and this and that. But no money is there actually in that way. But money is very important. Huh? You are trading, you are the producer, either exporter or importer. So money is most important for you. So in that case, what about the balance of payment? Some
Ma'am, I
of
had a
of
question.
some of you, most of you know. Yes.
Ma'am, there was a part called the tariff quota equivalence. Ma'am, is that there in a syllabus?
That comparison, yes. For that comparison.
Okay.
I told about the comparison, na?
Yes, ma'am.
Otherwise, the effect of tariff and effect of quota is same. In case of domestic market, the ultimate effect is same. The price will increase to same level if the same amount of quota is there. Tariff will increase to that level where the domestic price will increase to that level which is there if it was tariff. Everything is same. The amount of demand, amount of supply, they are same. So in that case, they are equivalent. But the difference is in case of quota, there may be the quota licensing, and for that there will be the lobbying problem. And in case of tariff, it may possible that it's a sort of retaliation by the rest of the world. They have reduced their profit level. They are charging lower price for the commodity, so that your effective rate of protection has reduced. But in case of quota, it will not possible. So this is a sort of comparison. Acha. So will I start this one? Okay, I will start. Huh? Now balance of payment. Tell me what is balance of payment. From your macro class, you know what is balance of payment. From your SEM 2, you know. কি ব্যালেন্স অফ পেমেন্ট কাকে বলে? কোথায় গেলে?
The statement that shows the receipts and payments of the country while doing international trade, capital
Yes.
receipts, transactions.
For a certain time. For a certain time. Students who have applied online for the following scholarships are directed. Just a minute, there is a notice. I'm just reading the notice. Students who have applied online for the following scholarships are directed to meet Sri Shumitavo Ganguly on the college office with the printout of the application form and all relevant documents at an early date, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, except public holidays, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Okay. So what are the scholarship? Swami Vivekananda Merit Cum means scholarship, National Scholarship, Oasis Scholarship, Kunnasri naki? Maybe Kunnasri Scholarship, West Bengal Chief Minister's Relief Fund Scholarship, other scholarships, both government and private, such as LIC, GP Birla Scholarship, SR Jindal Scholarship, etc. Documents required. Is there anyone in this class who are getting any of this scholarship, who are applying for this scholarship? Is there anyone? Otherwise, I will stop reading this notice.
Ma'am, last year I applied for Swami Vivekananda scholarship, but this time we need the third sem and fourth sem mark sheets both, but we have not received the fourth sem mark sheets yet. So I am confused.
Look, so the documents required. Now listen documents carefully. That means the documents which you have to carry to the college office. Scholarship application form hard copy. 2. HS mark sheet for fresh applicants. Respective semester mark sheet. Yes, here comes renewal class. Original and photocopy. Last fees payment slip of the college photocopy. Aadhaar card photocopy. Income certificate photocopy. Caste certificate original and photocopy. Self bank account passbook account details page photocopy. Minority certificate for minority scholarship photocopy. So there are 8 documents you need. So if you have any problem with the mark sheet and all these, you may ask college office. They will guide you when you will get that mark sheets and all.
Okay, ma'am.
But this is a notice, so I was reading it. Okay. So here comes your balance of payment. So you know what is balance of payment. It is nothing but the income and expenditure of the economy in case of the export and import. That means from the trade sector, what they are earning and what they are spending for a certain time. Okay. Broadly, this is the balance of payment. Now, what are the components of balance of payment? There are basically 3 components: current account, capital account, and official reserve account. Okay. Now, what is current account? Okay. For that, again, I have taken the copy. This is from Kebs, Jones and Frankel. Look, it is beautifully explained here. Current account. Huh? There are 3 accounts. Look, it is a current account, and here comes your capital account, and the last one is official reserve transaction or official reserve account. Okay. Now, what are under current account? Merchandise trade. That means the trade of tea, trade of jute, trade of computer, and etc. etc. These are the merchandise trade. That means trade of goods. I can say trade of goods, export or import of goods. Services. Services, you are also trading the services. That means the transportation, tourism. Many foreigners are coming in India. They are traveling. So this is the service we are giving to foreign. So that means we are just exporting our service of tourism to the rest of the world. This is tourism service, business and professional service, and these are the things. Okay, so these are under the category of the service. So under the current account, what are there? The export and import of goods and export and import of services. Medical service is also there, right? Some foreigners are coming in India. Basically, most of the people, they are coming from Nepal or Bangladesh in India, and they are getting the medical service from us. So we are exporting medical service to them. Okay, so this is how service is there. So current account means the export and import of goods and services. And there is a third one, that is the unilateral transfer. What is unilateral transfer? Unilateral transfer has the government grant. Sometimes government is giving some money to India, or India is sometimes giving the money to some other countries. So these are all under the heading of current account. Okay, that may be the grant. Sometimes the people, government is giving grant. Now, say there is Amphan. So it might possible that foreign countries are giving some, what can I say? It's a grant means something in exchange of nothing. So this is how the money is coming inside the country. Sometimes country is also giving money to the rest of the world. So these are all under the category of current account. Now, what is capital account? Capital account is something related to investment. Okay, the investment may be short run, the investment may be long run. So any transaction in terms of investment, these are under the category of capital account. Okay. Now, what are those? First of all, direct investment. Direct investment means, say there is a Japanese are not coming here. Okay. So say there is one German company who are trying to invest in India. How? They have just purchased a land. They have made a factory, installed some machines there, employed the laborers, and then they have started production. Okay, so this is called direct investment. That may be done by an Indian also to the rest of the world. He is going to Ethiopia. Sometimes, generally, the Indian people, they are going to the African countries. They are making a lot of investment there. So this is again the direct investment, because they have purchased the land, they have made that factory, installed the capital equipments, and they employed everything. So the risk, profit, everything for that particular individual, that foreigner. So this is called the direct investment. What is portfolio investment? Portfolio investment means something related with share and debenture. Okay. Sometimes we are purchasing the share of some foreign companies. Sometimes the foreigners are also purchasing the share of the Indian companies. Okay, this is allowed. Now, what is the objective behind this purchase? We are actually waiting. When the price of the share will increase, we will sell it out. We will sell the shares and we'll get the profit, and we are very happy. So we are not concerned about the loss of the company. We are not concerned about day-to-day transaction of the company. We are only interested about the profit. Once there is profit, Gaurav, what is the problem, Gaurav? ঘুমিয়ে পড়েছিলে? গৌরব এখনো কানে শুনতে পাচ্ছে না। So what is the factor we are interested about? We are only interested about the profit. When profit will be there, when the price of the share will increase, we will sell the shares and will earn our profit. That much. So this is called portfolio investment. We are not taking the risk of the production. We are not taking the risk in the long run. This is actually, or maybe in the long run, but we are not actually concerned about the day-to-day operation of the company. So this is important in case of portfolio investment. Okay. Now, what is official? Okay. Tell me, before official reserve account, do you have any problem with current account and capital account components? Do you have any problem with current account and capital account components? Am I audible?
Yes.
Am I audible? Okay. Now the last part, that is the official reserve transaction. Official reserve transaction means sometimes the government needs money, huh? And they are just selling. Some Indian government is also doing that, and there is a very popular, well, not the popular actually, there is a very known situation for the Indian economy at the time of Narasimham government. That was just at the time of the economic liberalization. The money which Reserve Bank had at that time for the export and import is just around for 1 week. Hmm. So it is a very poor condition. It was very poor condition for the Indian economy at that point of time. So at that point of time, Indian economy had to sell a lot of gold. Okay. So what is happening? India is giving gold to some other country, and in exchange of that, that country is giving foreign currency to India. So India is exporting gold and that country is importing gold. And India is getting some foreign exchange in terms of that gold. So these things are happening actually. Huh? So that may not be gold always. That may be the IMF credits. That may be the SDR. You know what is the full form of SDR from your development economy study or the Indian economy study? SDR. Do you know the full form of SDR? Do you know the full form of IMF?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the full form?
International Monetary Fund.
Then what is SDR?
Ma'am, I don't know.
No
Ma'am,
one
is it
knows?
statutory deposit ratio?
No, 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 no. SDR is the special drawing right. SDR is the special drawing right. Actually, IMF, as you know, it is the just an it is just a collaboration of some countries, right? So in within these IMF members, they are called the IMF members. So of these IMF members, first 16 countries who are economically strong in that sense, the currency of those 16 countries are clubbed. And they made a sort of currency which is called the special drawing right. This is nothing but a paper. But once you have this paper, this is the equivalent to I don't know actually the value of SDR, but say one SDR is equivalent to 50 euro. Okay, so that means if you have one SDR, that means a sort of certificate in your account, and you can sell it, you will get 50 euro. Okay, but this is only for the member countries of IMF, not outside. So this is called SDR. So SDR is just like the gold, just like silver, just like any precious metal in that sense. You can sell gold, you can sell SDR, you can purchase also. Okay. So these are actually reserved in our Reserve Bank, our central bank. Okay. And the foreign exchange as well. Obviously, the foreign exchange of more stronger countries, dollar, euro, pound, these are reserved here. And once these are exchanged between the government, this is under the heading of official reserve transaction, because this is something official, the government level transaction. India is giving this, India is giving that. So it is done within government. So that transaction is done, that export and import is done between the governments. So this is under the heading of official reserve transaction. Okay, so these are the component of the balance of payment. Okay. Any problem with those components? Okay. there are actually in balance of payment there are one is called debit, another is called credit. If we have our commerce background, it will be very easy for us to understand what is debit and what is credit. But don't worry, we also come to know what is debit and what is credit. So what is debit? Credit means I'm giving something, done, and debit means I'm taking something. It's better to remember these two terms in this way. Credit means I'm giving, debit means I'm taking. So when I'm exporting, it is under the heading of credit. And when I am importing, it is under the heading of debit. Is it clear? So in the balance of payment, there are always two accounts, credit and debit. Okay. Now the thing is, for each transaction, there is one credit and one debit. It's not like that. Export means only credit. Export also has debit portion. Each transaction has credit and debit of equivalent value. And that is why after each transaction, the balance of payment will be zero. How? I'm just giving you a very simple example. Say India is exporting tea. Okay. India is exporting tea. So the amount of tea is under the credit account. Now what he is getting? Say dollar he is getting. So once you are getting something, this is under the debit account. How much money you are getting? The total value of the tea which you have exported. So total value under the credit heading is equal to the total money you received under the debit heading. So that means if you sum these two, it will be zero. Once you are giving, another you are getting. If you sum these two, it will be zero. So that is why it is said balance of payment always balanced. I should stop here because it's already 1.5 hours. If I continue further, already I am not getting any response from you. And if I will continue more, you all will go for your other daily routine.